Can I heat up my dinner with Christmas lights? So you just got home from a Christmas party, you're hungry for a late night snack, but you never learned how to read Arabic numerals, so you can't use your microwave or your oven. So while it seems like you don't have anything that can heat up your Christmas dinner, you still have some of your parents' old incandescent light bulbs, so you throw on the Good Mythical Morning Christmas ambiance, put everything into a box, and hope for the best. Will it work? I actually got this idea rewatching the first season of Stranger Things, seeing the lights on the wall, and I had once heard that incandescent light bulbs are essentially just heat bulbs with a lighting problem, which, as you can see in my test, where I was trying to see how hot they would get, it's absolutely true. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's a little bit weird shopping for some of the things that I use in some of these episodes. For example, in this one, I don't have incandescent light bulbs anymore. So I was shopping for some and ended up stumbling upon some reviews on Amazon for light bulbs that did have a heat problem, which normally is a bad thing. But for me, I was like, oh, perfect. I was going to heat up some hot chocolate, so I got out my favorite mug, added some hot cocoa mix, and then, of course, just added some tap water. For this meal, I was going to do a cup of hot chocolate, some maple glazed ham, and some mac and cheese as well. Obviously, I wasn't really going to be able to actually cook these things properly, so I'm merely just reheating things in today's video. Basically, all I'm doing is I'm just heat sealing my sous vide box. I did check to make sure that the plastic could handle as much heat as we're going to be using today. As you can see, it's already heating up. I added a thermometer inside of the hot chocolate since that was probably going to take the longest. And the mac and cheese was probably going to take the second longest, so that's where I went next. Unfortunately, I did have to cheat a little bit for the mac and cheese. If I left it frozen out of the box, it was going to take forever to do this. So I let it thaw to room temperature first. This is cursed. This is so cursed. This is where I'm going to add my safety caveat that this was not a very smart thing to do. I had any safety precaution around me that I needed, but please do not do this at home. So this right here is telling you how hot it is in the actual container. So it's probably a pretty good thing that it's not getting up all the way to 200 because the plastic on some of the lights was melting, but it's going to take quite a while. So while the food is cooking, just to explain kind of why this ends up working really well, with my cat watching as my safety officer, incandescents work by using electricity to heat up a tungsten filament that radiates light whenever it gets to insanely high temperatures. And because of that, whenever these bulbs are on, they lose a ton of heat, which we're taking advantage today by stupidly heating up some food. So while I am glazing the ham...
Oh, please don't be glazing me!
I also wanted to explain why this isn't a problem anymore since we now live in an LED bulb world. LEDs work by using electricity to excite electrons, and as these electrons are excited, they then have a whole bunch of energy that can be released as light. They still do make some heat. Some heat is still released in the process, but nowhere near as much as incandescent light bulbs, which basically produce light as a byproduct of heating up tungsten. So while incandescent bulbs do produce enough heat to warm something up, that doesn't mean you should do it. There are some bulbs that are meant to keep food warm, obviously, but as you can see in this video, Christmas lights are not those bulbs. In fact, the bulbs were melting plastic and occasionally losing power because it just was so hot in that box. So I knew that I was basically voluntarily eating plastic at this point. So again, this is dumb and just for fun, please do not do this at home. I was basically considering microplastics as a seasoning at this point. So now that I'm actually glazing the ham with my maple glaze at this point, and since I'm still new to this, I accidentally covered up the entire screen with my hand. The mac and cheese and hot cocoa were only about 20 Fahrenheit away from being warm enough, and since the ham was really thinly cut, it would warm relatively quickly. I did ask for a thicker cut at the grocery store, but I think the butcher misheard me or something, and since I'm scared of confrontation like everyone else my age, I just ended up with deli cut. After a few hours at this point, the food was nearing my goal temperature of around 145 Fahrenheit, so it was getting close to time to taste it. It's probably been about 30 minutes since I last checked the temperature. As you can see, the hot chocolate in there is still at 127. Ambient temperature right now is at 183. It dropped a little bit. It was kind of around 190. I'll give it another hour or so. I think the mac and cheese and hot chocolate are both warm enough that they would be fine, but we're not going for fine here. We're going for an actual high quality dinner. And after about another 45 minutes. All right, it is time. So if you were wanting a meal that kind of encompassed the emotional warmth of the holidays, this unfortunately probably isn't it. Wow, okay. This was actually one of the more fun preps I've done so far for any of my videos, but I knew that I was about to be eating plastic. Okay, that's warm. Ow, okay. The food was surprisingly warm. Ow, 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 oh my God. The mug was basically hot enough that it felt like I had just taken it out of the microwave. So I got everything plated. I actually had to wait for the light bulbs to cool down a little bit in order to reshoot this because they were so hot that a lot of them were turning off at this point. But as I got everything plated, it was basically time for me to actually test it. As I was shooting B-roll here, I was starting to notice how dry a lot of the food looked. So I was starting to get a little bit worried about the actual taste test. So not only was it going to be dry and have a weird texture since I heated it at a really slow heat for a long time, but it was also going to have plastic in it as well. Of course, this is something that's not going to taste horrible or anything, but still, I wanted it to be good. Just to show you how hot this got, the mac and cheese is currently at 125, which I would say that's pretty good. I guess I'm about to get some cheese in my hot cocoa. Hot cocoa is up in the 140s. So we're going to start off with the main course. This pretty thinly sliced ham. So the glaze that I put on it didn't actually glaze. Not that I expected it to. So it kind of just tastes like wet ham with a little bit of spices on it. It's still pretty good, but it's not actually a glaze. It's kind of like I'm just like eating like small little bites of sugar as I'm chewing on the ham. So not really the best thing I've ever tasted in my life, but it's not bad. All right. Now the mac and cheese. It tastes fine. This is kind of one of those meals that as long as I could get enough heat, I wasn't worried about the taste of anything. I just was surprised that the incandescents could get that hot. I will say that since I thawed it from frozen and then let it cook, it's a very weird texture. Like the cheese is completely dried out. It's a little soupy, but it's like there's no liquid cheese on this, but it's still fine. It's not bad. It just tastes like normal Stouffer's mac and cheese. It's not bad. I really shouldn't take another bite because I'm sure that this has all sorts of plastic in it at this point, but it's fine. Yeah, I just got like a bite of the edge that kind of like crispied up a little bit, but it wasn't crispy. It just was like chewy. So not good, but again, this is, if you did find yourself in a stupid situation like this and you weren't worried about microplastics in your food, this would totally work. Okay, last one, hot cocoa. Yeah, I'm surprised at how hot this is. I've probably let this sit in there for probably about 4 hours now. This is, it's actually been at temperature for a while, but I had to wait for the ham. I had to wait for the ham and the mac and cheese to kind of get close, but this is like warm. It's 145 degrees, which that's typically the temperature that I like to drink my hot cocoa at. I'm a little bit of a pansy when it comes to hot drinks, but like this is really good. It's really good hot chocolate. Again, kind of like the other things, I wasn't expecting this to be bad. I'm just surprised at how much heat these incandescents can produce. Here I'll show you some of the damage of the plastic on the lights melting, just further evidence that this is not something I'll be doing again, nor should you. There's definitely way safer ways to go about this. But this one was actually really fun to prepare, and I guess I did essentially get an answer to that curious part of my brain that was asking if I could heat up a meal using incandescent Christmas lights. Just not a safe thing to do at all. As you can imagine, due to the safety concerns and the pretty much inevitable dosage of plastic you'd be getting, this is going to join the boiled pizza in the not edible category. The food was fine, just not safe. So as I finish off my videos like I always do with the blowtorch, please comment if you have any other ideas or something that I might have missed, and subscribe. You have no idea how much those help on my end.